When Emma found this poor doggy in the forest, she knew that she needed to get it to a vet as soon as possible. It was clearly not in good condition. But what Emma failed to realize was that she had actually not found a dog. But she only figured this out when the vet started crying upon seeing the animal. Nobody could believe that Emma had actually found this creature here. The reaction of the vet caught both Emma and her father Nathan completely off guard. They expected him to tell them what was wrong with the strange dog they found, but not that he suddenly started to cry his eyes out. What had they done here? After calming down, the vet immediately made a call that would change Nathan's life forever. And he had no idea about it yet. Only when the vet came back into his office with a lot more serious look on his face and finally revealed the truth to the father and daughter, Nathan felt his heart sink as he now knew what his daughter Emma had found in the forest. This was not a poor doggy at all. But what had Emma found in the forest? Why did the vet react by crying? And how would her father's life change forever? Emma knew very well that she had to be careful when she went into the forest alone. More often than not, she would be accompanied by one of her parents or both of them. But today, they were both very busy, and Emma was old enough to go alone. But letting her leave that day would be something they lived to regret. Emma loved being in and around nature, and thus the forest nearby her house was her favorite place to be. And what she loved most about it were all the animals that surrounded her. She could spend hours just observing them. But today, she found a creature that most definitely did not belong here. She spotted the animal laying down the vegetation from a little while away, and at first thought that it might be a deer. She had seen those a couple of times before here, but the last time was very long ago, and so Emma could barely contain her excitement as she inked her way closer. But that excitement quickly faded when she started to realize that there might be something wrong with this creature. If it was actually a deer, it would have most likely already spotted her and run away. But the animal stayed put and did not seem to give any attention to Emma. And as she got even closer, she became more sure that she was not dealing with a deer. This was something else. And whatever it was clearly not afraid of Emma, which made the young girl fear that she should maybe be somewhat afraid of it. But Emma's curiosity was way too piqued right now to just walk away without finding out what this animal was, or what was going on with it, as she started to fear that something might as well be wrong with the animal due to how little it was moving. Having moved forward with baby steps, Emma had now gotten very close to the animal, and it was clear that the creature knew she was there now. It was looking her straight in the eye with a look that Emma could only describe as the animal begging her for help. Emma inspected the animal closely before getting any closer to it. She guessed that it had to be some sort of dog she was dealing with here, but that it had to be a species that she had never seen or heard of before. It also did not have a collar or anything on. From where she was standing, Emma could also not determine if the animal was injured or not. She did not see any blood or wounds on the animal, but it did look fairly weak. It might not be able to stand up on its own merits anymore. Whatever this animal was, and whatever had happened to it, Emma knew one thing fairly sure. This creature needed help, and she was probably the only one able to give it to it. But Emma also knew that she would not be able to do this alone. She tried to use her cell phone to try and find a number she could call to ask for her. But Emma had no reception below all these thick trees, and the only help number she knew from memory was 911, and this situation was not bad enough for her to make that call. She had to get out of the forest to get help. That much was clear, but that would mean she would either have to leave this dog behind or take it with her. The second option sounded better, but that was easier said than done, of course. Carrying the dog in her arms all that way seemed very difficult and would probably tire her out completely before getting out of the forest. And she also did not have something on her in which to carry the animal, like for example a backpack. This was going to be difficult. But then Emma got an idea. She might not know any emergency numbers to call, but she did know the number of her father. Emma knew that he was very busy today, but she was sure he would make some time to help her in the situation. And so she gave him a call. Her father Nathan reacted very surprisedly to the call, and his first instinct was to demand that Emma walk away from whatever creature she found. Who knows what kind of diseases this creature was carrying? He did not want his daughter to catch anything and was already regretting letting her go out alone. But that regret only increased as Emma quickly made it clear that she was not going to go anywhere, and if her father did not want to help her out, then she would carry the dog out of the forest in her own arms. No matter how long it was going to take her, Emma's father knew his daughter very well and was sure that she was going to follow through with this plan. The words backing down were not in his daughter's vocabulary, and so he had no other choice but to cave into her demands and quickly pick her and the animal up from the forest. It was not easy to find his daughter. Because there was no internet connection, she was not able to share her location. Luckily, her father was familiar with the path she had taken because they had walked it together before. And so after half an hour of running through the trees, Nathan found Emma. She was standing in a relatively open patch of the forest and very close to what Nathan was sure had to be the animal Emma was describing. He was upset that she was getting so close, but also knew that this was not the place or time for it. He had to deal with this situation first. He had a large backpack with him and gloves to handle the animal. He had no idea if this dog was going to bite him or something. He knew he had to be really careful here, but the animal was very willing to cooperate, like it was aware that he and Emma were here to help. Under the watchful eye of his daughter Emma, Nathan carefully put the dog in his large backpack. The animal seemed to be cooperating perfectly, and also did not seem to show any signs of pain when he was handling it, which was a very good sign, of course. By the looks of things, the animal was not injured, but it might be dehydrated, tired, or hungry, which caused it to be unable to move and be in need of help. Either way, it was probably something that the local vet would be able to help with. So with the dog safely secured in the backpack, Emma and Nathan started to make their way back home. He was still somewhat angry at his daughter for disobeying him, but he also had to respect that she was willing to put so much on the line to help an animal that they should have probably just left in the forest. On the walk home, the dog in Nathan's large backpack was as calm as could be. They had placed it so that his head was still sticking out, and it was just calmly looking around, letting itself get transported. Nathan almost started thinking it was strange. Nathan wanted to take the dog straight to the vet to get checked out, but his wife had already called ahead, and with it being almost closing time, all the spots for that day were already filled up. They could go to an emergency clinic, but that would cost a lot more money that the family could not miss. And so they had to take the dog home for now, but had no idea what they were supposed to do with it until tomorrow. And if Nathan was honest, he was wishing that his daughter would have never found this animal, because now it was a problem that he was going to have to solve. When the vet eventually looked at the animal, he burst into tears and told Nathan and Emma that this was not a dog. They had actually rescued a dingo. It had to have been transported into the country illegally, and at first, Nathan was blamed for this, but he was eventually cleared and the story that they found the animal in the forest was believed.